So while looking around through Discord servers, I ended up finding this, which is a giantess roleplay Discord server, which is all centered around a YouTube channel by the name of Rank. Now, giantess roleplay server, what could that possibly be, you may ask? It's essentially a bunch of fellas acting as a titular cast of manslaves to the big kahuna herself, Rank. But who is Rank? To clear that up, I'll go ahead and play one of her YouTube videos, which I found a little bit perplexing.
I am not going to hurt you. Tiny. What? Monster, you say? I'm called Lawson, and I am not a monster. Hey, little girl. Your name should be Rance.
So there's a lot to unpack there. First and foremost, probably being why was that so jarring? And that's because this community is a bilingual one, both English and Espanol. And of course, like many things nowadays, hot doggy, it's got a Patreon. Earning a whopping $10 a month from what I can only assume is 10 sugar daddies, she's actually earning quite a bit more than I would have expected. But once I start actually going through the community, you'll probably see why, as some of these individuals seem a little more than desperate. But first, I'll probably go ahead and take you through the Patreon tiers, so you can see where your hard-earned dollars are going. As you can see, for one humble peso, you can earn the eternal gratitude of our Titanic friend. For $3 dues, you can see what the giant's working on behind the scenes, be it 3D animation or live videos. You can be privy to secret information that no one else wants to see. For $5, Andre the Giant will actually start considering your ideas and maybe actually give a damn about what you think, as you may even be able to contribute plans for future videos. For $10, 3D print yourself into the world of a giant. Your model could possibly then be used for future videos. And finally, for the big spenders, $80. You like Iron Man? You like Spider-Man? Big fan of Stan Lee and Detective Comics? Well, for this giant sum, she'll create you your own comic, complete with broken English. But enough about Rank, let's take a look at the colourful characters on this Discord server. I'd like you to enter my mind for a second here. Reconvene with me on a deeper level. You join a strange Discord server, and are promptly notified with a message. You go to check who it's from, and are more than happy to find out it's from none other than Sonic-784. I found this to be a friendly place, full of greetings and merriment, and people who were non-judgmental of my verbiage, and whom in fact came to commend it. But I'm sorry to say that it wasn't all milk and roses. There was in fact a dark underbelly to this server. This story has no farts. It's a foot fetish story with and-through characters, macro-micro themes. If you like that, read up. When you see a ladybug, you normally just say, hey, there's that cute thing with the red and black dotted back, and go about your day. Do you know what a ladybug eats? If you said plants, that's incorrect. Not every bug eats plants. Ladybugs eat aphids, which do eat plants, as evidenced on this leaf. This ladybug is eating the aphids, which are just the right size for its mouth. The ladybug is very happy for its larger size. Unlike ant wars, where everyone is the same size, the ladybug is larger, and will enjoy the opportunities size gives it. Speaking of size, bugs have adapted to seeing shadows that loom over them. This signals that they should remember that there are those that are larger and that they need to run. But this ladybug was too busy eating that he could not fly away. Hopefully, he enjoyed his last meal. Crunch! The golden barefoot sole of a humanoid wolf-ass on the path descended and slammed onto the leaf. Both the aphids and the bug, larger than them, crushed. The owner of said foot was enjoying a walk through the forest path and opted to take off their shoes to get more down to earth. She was dressed in a denim short skirt and in a white tank top, fully ready to let the breezes caress her soft golden fur as her shoulder-length hair was free to breathe. She sighed in relief, wriggling and stretching her toes, and feeling the cooler ground and grass crunch under her heated feet. Now this is what I needed, Kate breathed out. Humphrey, you should take your shoes off too. It's not that bad. The feeling of grass and even the sticks cracking just humph, humph, Kate huffed. Humphrey, the grey-haired Omega, in his white tee and jean shorts, aka Jorts, was not being a good listener. Instead, he was sitting against a tree, tired from the walking they had done, and he was too preoccupied with a butterfly fluttering around, a particularly interesting flower, before landing and beginning to feed. Its beautiful wings continued to sway as it rested and refreshed. Crash! What? Humphrey's attention was quickly broken, his eyes now locked under the golden foot of Alpha Wolf. Kate squashed his distraction, turning her foot to drive the point home, as the tattered butterfly wing between her toes soon sank, only to become more debris under her. "Hello? I was talking to you," Kate teased, knowing this would get his attention. Humphrey revealed that he had a fetish with this sort of thing, and since she was talking about how free her precious souls were, it was the first thing on her mind to use. And to really make sure she could have his undivided attention, she lifted her foot and shook her toes before bringing the underside over to rest on his face. Kate! It worked like a charm. Humphrey's attention was on. His breaths took in the leftover heat her foot radiated, and the feeling and sight of what was her foot turned him on more than he expected. Grass and a bit of dirt, but what was significant was not only the butterfly, but there was also a ladybug and other insect creatures that fell prey to her trampling through the woods. His mind began to race, thinking dirty thoughts of Kate's indiscriminate stomping. His flip was switched. What? His flip was switched! Quality. With a moan and a whimper, his flip was switched? What in the world? With a moan and a whimper, he embraced her foot's underside, kissing and even licking, fully entranced in the thoughts of Kate being a large, stomping wolf giantess. Kate gasped. Whoa, Humphrey, what are you doing? He somehow stopped himself, looking up at her, his mind still in worship mode. I'm sorry, Kate, I just thought about this. You just crushed that butterfly and I loved it. I like thinking of you as some giant, ruining everything in your path as you step and smash everything. Kate looked at him, perplexed. She knew he liked feet, but this was a lot more than he let on. She looked down at him, letting her own mind flow. She did sort of like the feeling of stepping on the ground. And when she thought a bit more, the crushing of that butterfly did give her a tiny bit of a malicious rush. She looked a bit further down, noticing the strong bulge in Humphrey's jaws. Her mind was then made up. Okay then. Or you can keep thinking that. Finish cleaning my foot so it can be fresh to step on everything else. Humphrey's eyes glowed with excitement, and he promptly finished licking and kissing clean her soul. Kate put her foot down, satisfied. Now, let's keep walking. Maybe this is the motivation you needed. Kate teased as Humphrey stood, ready to follow her on her path of destruction. The walk was much more exciting now. Kate put just enough effort in her walk to make her every step cause a crunching sound, a sound that tickled Humphrey's ears and made his loins throb. He looked like he was hiding his bulge, but he was discreetly applying a little bit of friction every few steps. His eyes were on red alert for anything on the path that Kate could step on. For now it was only grass, but that didn't stop his imagination. He zoned out, his mind making his fantasies come true. What could she possibly step on next? The grass soon morphed. The blades her feet were looming over soon appeared as buildings and skyscrapers to his mind, and they shared the same fate as everything else in her way. Crunch! His mind played it in slow motion, imagining people fleeing unsuccessfully before her foot seamlessly crushed every floor of every building down to the ground, and then continued on her walk like it wasn't even there. He exhaled, putting more pressure on his naughty word, both to add stimulation and to keep from blowing his load so easily. He couldn't tear his eyes away from the path. However, there was more to observe, more buildings and cities to gaze at as her merciless rampage went on. Woo! A lot of people decided to build on this path. How unfortunate. Hey, lick my feet again, please. I can barely feel the buildings anymore from all the ones I already have on my feet. She spoke sweetly to him as she leaned and sat by a tree, presenting her feet. Humphrey wasted no time, moving to her like a grey blur in his haste to serve. He knelt and kissed her gold feet tenderly, looking at all the buildings she had accumulated from her short walking. He licked them clean like it was his dream job, which was not too far off. Soon her feet were clean and ready for stepping once more, as she stood. She continued on giving a peck to Humphrey, which he thoroughly enjoyed, as he resumed following with his heart-filled eyes. She decided to step her game up. No pun intended.
That's a good one.
She slowed her walk just a bit, and with more effort began really smashing her feet to the ground. She let the grass and dirt come up just a bit through her toes, enjoying the cool feeling. What Humphrey saw when she did this was something much more intense. He saw entire city districts pushed into the ground, with office buildings poking out between her toes, only for them to get crushed when she squeezed them. But when she picked her foot up, she brought it back just enough for him to see the damage. And his brain turned it into the sweetest eye candy. Pancaked cars, bugs, buildings, everything reduced to nothing under her. The same could be said for her other foot, and this repeated in his mind. Every second another helpless city was powerless to the giantess. There was a stick on the path, which he imagined as a bridge. He even saw a few beetles on top of it, likely communicating. They said their last words as Kate's foot smashed them to dust. The entire bridge failing to hold her powerful body. He began to pant, letting his mind go wild, but he kept his pants in check. Which ones? Then Kate stopped. Oh look! Ha! Actual ants! Kate observed a small grouping of ants attempting to build around a fallen beetle. Ants were amazing creatures. They had power in numbers and could take down foes much larger than them. Kate was about to put that to the test. Hey, Humphrey, I think I'm about to learn why they call tinies ants all the time. She raised her foot, letting her shadow line up with the unsuspecting populace below. Their civilization was about to be obliterated. Scrunch! She stomped, pressing her feet into the ground as the dirt displaced to her toes that wriggled and caught the potential escapees by squeezing them even more. She swiveled her foot as she exhaled, feeling her own rush as she overpowered these insects. Humphrey also felt his own high hit a level he almost couldn't handle. He thought of the worst, high buildings, feats of society that took decades to erect, falling prey to Kate's soul. He couldn't get more erect if he tried. Kate balanced and used her flexibility to bring her foot to her face, blowing her golden hair out of her eyes. Wow, Humphrey, look at him, still wiggling around on my foot. Humphrey took slow steps over, giving his own oohs at the sight. Well, guess I'll handle this one. You licked enough. Kate gave a slow open of her mouth as her tongue emerged, and she slowly and thoroughly gave her soul a lick, overtaking the remaining ants, and building with her more. Humphrey couldn't take it. Kate, oh, I'm gonna... The sight was too much. He fell back against a tree, fighting to get his jorts off. Kate, finish me. Off. I can't take it anymore. I love this too much. Just... His rambling was silenced by her right foot coming down to his face.
What was that? I can't hear you from up here, she playfully shouted, moving her own panties under her skirt and getting ready to relieve herself from her own pent-up lust.
You're so small down there. Kate was feeling it now. She loved being the giant destroyer Humphrey dreamed she was. And Humphrey loved just being another person in danger of being under her soul. Humphrey got his jorts off, exposing his hard dong, but was soon at the mercy of her left foot. She worked his dong, and let him lick at her feet as she muttered sweet words of power. You like that, huh? I crushed so much today alone. Imagine how much I could flatten under me if I did this from now on. Oomph! Every step I take destroys so much. I can't help that. I'm so big. On! She was ready to climax. Her foot rubbed onto the grey wolf's cock, and with renewed vigour, Humphrey moaning under her foot as her words resonated into him. He looked up to see her shining in the light like an all-powerful goddess. He had to blow. His wiener fired onto her foot, and Kate followed up with an orgasm of her own, both of them moaning and panting as they got out their last sexual thoughts before their high was over. Kate fell to her knee before sitting next to him, panting and smiling warmly as she looked at him. Ha! That was definitely what I needed. Let's just rest. I don't think I can handle crushing any more cities right now. Humphrey smiled as she leaned in to give him a sweet kiss. They closed their eyes together as they lay on the path, their minds drifting to sleep. No doubt ready to dream a bigger dream than the one they had just lived out. Oh, that's nice. This was a commission. Someone paid for this.
I think now is probably a good time to look at the community at large, because what a bunch of fellas. I'll say that much. One of the main things that caught my interest about these guys is how they like to make their own personas and original characters. Here's two right now, just hanging out, having some fun together. But if grotesquely overweight isn't your shindig, don't worry, there's plenty more. For example, so this character's name is Inferno. As you may notice, he has a couple of similarities to some other characters, and then some other aspects which are completely different. For example, those poor shoulders / biceps. But what is an original character without a dark and brooding backstory? We can start with the basics. His name is Patrick, which is nice. He's a male human, 26 years old, a tall and busty lad of giga proportions. He's loving, caring, a musician, and of course horny. He won't take Inferno for an answer. He's destructive, playful, and ladies' man, and his kinks are being a nude giant and masturbating every night after midnight. He's like a gremlin. His powers include creating lava clones and fireballs. When he took over his grandfather's name after the death of said grandfather, he wanted to find Hanzo Hasashi, which is apparently otherwise known as Scorpion, I'm assuming from Mortal Kombat. However, the young Inferno, at the age of 19, still had flashbacks that he wanted to forget. His goal was to find both Sub-Zero and Scorpion. However, Sub-Zero was his biggest influence, and looked at him as a teacher, and wanted to train with Sub-Zero. Inferno was originally trained by his brother, Bihan, aka Noob Saibot. So it's a lot of the typical OC stuff, but one thing that stuck out to me was the bottom of the second last paragraph. Inferno is also a computer hacker, so if he got cyberized, he knows how to get everything back on track, and knows how to break them passwords. Supercomputer genius, although Kui Lang will not recognize him. His reason for being cyberized? Being a curious George and doing the most stupidest thing ever. Getting his treasury back that they stole and rescuing Hydro to get information about Raiko and Shao Kahn's personal secrets of realm domination. No clue what in the world that last paragraph is talking about, but there it is. Now, even though this next one wasn't technically explicit, I thought I'd go ahead and save your pure eyes from this assault of the senses. Now looking back over it, I kind of wish that I'd also censored the words, because they probably appear to be just about as egregious. So as you can see, it's another furry character for some reason. They've all got an obsession with being dogmen, putting on some socks. Of note are the strange bulbous toes, and the stickmen that are jumping all over them. Truly an artistic masterpiece. Now, of note is the fact that this was indeed a bilingual server. Now, I'm not exactly fluent in Latin tongue or rhythmic dance, but I do know pictures when I see them, and what I saw in those strange Spanglish channels is enough to scare me back away from this brave new world. In conclusion, Discord is a strange and possibly dangerous place, and I should likely stick to the safer servers, like the League of Legends ones, or the ones where people condescend to you as they explain how computers work.